Good evening, everyone. It's Jeremy again here with my second and final application presentation of the semester. Hope everyone has had a great weekend. Tonight I will be discussing Module 12, Interpersonal Persuasion, from the fourth and final part of the book titled Persuasive Communication Contexts. One concept I will explain and utilize that comes from the sequential influence techniques listed in this chapter is the foot in the door technique. To give a brief background on this concept area, I will first define sequential influence techniques. Sequential influence techniques are persuasive tactics in which persuasive communication follows one another in a step-by-step fashion, which establishes further change in beliefs in individuals who slowly come to embrace new opinions and are induced by actors to gradually comply with target requests. The foot in the door technique falls into this category, and it is defined as a technique that stipulates that an individual is more likely to comply with the second larger request if he or she has agreed to perform the small initial request. Simply put, if an individual agrees to the first request, they are more than likely to agree to the second larger request. Individuals are likely to agree to the second larger request because they want to cooperate with worldwide causes. They also feel motivated to behave in a way that is consistent with their newly formed views in themselves, and an emphasis on social norms also takes place, meaning people will feel a responsibility, a norm, to help one in need. I can apply this foot in the door technique to an experience I had in my personal life. I had a friend a couple of years ago that was in debt and bouncing around from place to place. Ultimately, he wound up homeless. We were good friends, very close, and had many great times together. But he was going through some hard times at home, which ultimately led to him bouncing around and ending up homeless. He stayed with the friend who kicked him out. He stayed with another friend who kicked him out, and around he went. One day he asked me if he could sleep over at my place, so I made nothing of it, and he stayed. The next day he asked to stay again, and I said okay, no problem. Then he asked on the third day, the fourth day, and the fifth, and by this time I began to wonder when he was going to go home, or anywhere. I don't know if he had anywhere to go. He then explained this difficult situation, how he was looking for a job, looking for a place, but he needed some time to get on his feet, get his life in control. I empathized, I understood. He then went on and asked me if he could move in for a while, which was a pretty big request considering I was living with my mom and my sister. So not only were we a little crammed, but I didn't feel too comfortable or familiar with someone else, an outsider, despite the fact that he was a friend living with us. I realized he was my friend who was in need, and I felt that I should help him. So I put all my reservations about living with the new person aside, all my worries and discomfort to another, and he moved in for a couple of months. In the end, it did not fare well for either one of us. He slacked on the job search, we slacked on the apartment search, and he didn't really help around the house or pull much of his weight. Our friendship became strained because of this situation and because of living in the same quarters, and I was elated the moment he found an apartment. He moved out, we hung out some more, and before long he was asking to stay over again because he was homeless. Again. This time it was only for a night, so I was relieved. He was gone the next day. The foot in the door technique, I believe, applies perfectly in this personal experience of mine for a couple of reasons. My friend's initial request was a small one, although it was really a pretext for a larger request, second large request. Simply because by asking to sleep over for a couple of days, this meant this was a small initial request. He then explained the situation after he saw that I complied with this first small request, and then he went on and made the second larger request. I complied because I felt I wanted to cooperate and help alleviate his bad situation. Once I complied, I felt that I needed to behave consistently with the newly formed view of myself as a friend helping another friend. And lastly, the social norm as my duty to help my friend who was in need guaranteed that I would agree to my friend's second larger request. In summary, all of the steps that lead one to comply with the small request were steps I followed sequentially. Once I complied with all three steps, I was bound to comply with my friend's second larger request.